Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and this is a podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing, and I also put out regular tutorials. So it's Saturday the 31st of May, and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. So I'm going to start with what I am wearing first. This is a very old finished object, so it's a friend from the vault, something that I knit earlier. This is Stilwell by Jared Flood, and I knit it out of Barocco Ultra Alpaca in like a navy colorway and I guess an off-white. I'll put a link in the description to this and any other project that I talk about, and that will be a link to my Ravelry page, my page, which has all of my notes, and then from there you can link to the pattern. So I made this in 2011, but the design came out in 2009. It is bottom up, and it was in this pattern booklet that I purchased from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and I've made quite a few things out of this. So you can actually still purchase this pattern on Ravelry. I think it's $11.50 US at the moment. But I actually think I got this booklet, and I can see here from Jimmy Bean's Wool, it was $15.95 when I bought it, but that was, yes, 14 years ago. And I made it pretty quickly after purchasing it. So I've made a few things out of this book actually. I've made those mitts on the back, the Grove mitts, and I've made, I don't know if I've showed it before, but I made this this one here. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Really pretty. That one's more oversized, with some really interesting cables, these sort of sideways cables. That's another friend from the vault that I haven't shown. But anyway, back to Stilwell. It's knit bottom up. It has quite a bit of waist shaping, and I had a look at the pattern to see that actually is written into the pattern. And I think a lot of the patterns around that time, so this came out 16 years ago, did have a lot of waist shaping in them. So bottom up, ferrule design, sort of waist shaping, like waist decreases and then it increases on the side. And then you do the sleeves the same bottom up. And then, so it's got some, you can see there's a fair bit of pilling, but you know, it's 14 years old, got to give it a break. Some garter cuffs, and then some, just a little bit of color work at the cuff. And then you knit up to here, and then you join it all in the round. And then interestingly enough with this one, it actually has raglan decreases. So it's like a raglan sweater as opposed to what a lot of ferrule is yoked color work. So, and then it has a Henley, so it's got like a folded, actually, and there's even, it's longer at the back, so like there's definitely a lot of short rows in here. Jared Flood is a really excellent pattern writer. That I think it was probably where I first learnt to do a lot of short rows were actually in his patterns. And there are meant to be a couple of buttons here, but I just never got around to putting any on. And I thought given the height of it, I probably wouldn't need to actually, like, gosh, can you imagine me closing that up? That would be very high. Anyway, actually we'll just show you the back. So you can see that that's actually substantially longer in the back. And yeah, it's just a really lovely classic navy and white sort of design. I'm trying to remember what size I actually made. I made what would have been, I'm sure, the smallest size. The gauge is 19 stitches over 4 inches. I think I was getting more like 20 with the Barocco Ultra Alpaca. Although the smaller size is 31.5 inches. So yeah, it might have ended up about 28. So probably is a little bit of negative ease, but that's my fault probably for not getting gauge. It is very long. I'd say this is probably about 15 inches. You can see that sort of, what do you call it? Like a seam runs down the side. You can kind of see the white a little bit through, probably because it is a little bit fitted. So I'm also wearing it over, these jeans go up a lot higher than the jeans that I was wearing when I made this. Were barely, like it was barely covering the jeans, which is probably one of the reasons a lot of the sweaters that I made were so long. If the rise of your jeans is only about this much, you know, like the jeans sort of go from here to about, you know, here, you're going to need your sweater to go a bit longer to cover it. So anyway, this is my friend from the vault. It is a really lovely pattern. I love it in the colors that in the actual design, sort of brown and pink. The yarn that was written for is Classic Elite Yarns Portland Tweed, which is discontinued. But I think the Barocco Ultra Alpaca is a good substitute. They mention Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which obviously now is not being sold anymore. But I actually think that's definitely a bit heavier than the Barocco Ultra Alpaca. You could use something like Cascade 220 or Cascade 220 Heathers, something like that. That kind of sort of 20 stitch, although it says 19 stitch gauge. You could use something like that and maybe just size it up a little bit, 20, 19, as long as you sort of knit the right size. You might just want to go up a size if you're getting 20 stitches. Anyway, this is my friend from the vault for the week, and I'm at home. Also, this is day 31 of my Vlogmas series, so this is what I'm wearing today. I'm at home just doing some work today, like just marking and stuff and getting ready for a presentation. So it's very comfortable and cozy, and I'm just wearing it over jeans, much higher waisted jeans these days, but it still works fine. I guess it's just a little bit more bulk because the sweater goes so long. But there's my navel sort of right here. So yeah, it definitely comes down a fair way. Anyway, that's my friend from the vault for this week. I don't have any finished objects this week, but I do have one new cast on and quite a bit of progress on my other works in progress. So this is the new cast on. It's the Lyon sweater by Petite Knit, and I'm knitting it out of the recommended yarn and in the color that the sample is knit in, which is Sandnes Garn Sunday held double in Almond and Night Sky. So this one's 2511 and this one is 5591. So they're a really lovely combination together, holding them double. And that's my first two balls, so I'm almost at the end of the first two balls. I've got a fair bit of the Night Sky. So yeah, it's a very similar construction to the Eva cardigan, where you start at the back here and then you increase out every row. I haven't blocked it yet, so it's sort of pulling in and bubbling here, but when I actually block it, that will sit down a little bit. Yep, and so I'm just working out the raglan, working down, then when I say raglan, it's not a raglan sweater, but you do this construction here, then you pick up stitches, you pick up stitches here and work down, pick up stitches here, work down, then, so you're cutting the yarn a little bit, and then you finish here and then knit, cast on some stitches and then pick up these ones here, and then yes, you're doing all of these just sleeve increases for a while, no increases for the front and back, so that's going down, and then you start increasing like on the raglan. So it's called a contiguous method with this sort of shoulder shaping here. Sorry, I just had to sneeze. I've seen some people talk about this like a drop shoulder, so I'm not sure. It says on the pattern contiguous. So anyway, that's what I'm going to call it, because that's how it's described, where you've got increases every row. So you're doing often you only have an increase every other row, but with a contiguous shaping, you're increasing along here every row. That does make it quite tight along there, and it definitely affects my gauge on the back. So I think if I was to do that in future, I might even go up a needle size. I'm knitting this on the recommended needles, which is a 4mm needle. And for anywhere else, like normal knitting, either flat or in the round, I get the recommended gauge of 20 stitches over 4 inches. But for this back section, I was definitely getting more like 22 stitches. So potentially, I think it's just because at the ends here, when you're doing an increase on an increase, it's quite tight there. And so you just sort of follow with that same tight tension for the rest of the row, which is similar when you're magic looping. When you get to the start, you kind of pull it a bit closer to make sure you don't get a ladder. And so you're a little bit tighter for that first stitch, and then you sort of tend to be a bit tighter for the rest of the half the round. So that's why in magic loop, I often go up a needle size compared to what I'm knitting the rest of the body. Flat and in the round generally doesn't seem to make a difference for me, but definitely magic looping does, which is great for socks because you usually want your fabric a little bit denser, but your sleeves, maybe not so much. So for sleeves, I go up a needle size, and I think if I was to do this kind of construction again with this contiguous, I would go up a needle size as well. Anything else I want to say about it? Oh yes, so I actually purchased the junior version of this pattern because the adult version, the smallest size, is a 41-inch bust, and that is 9 inches of positive ease for me, which is just a little bit more than I wanted, and it's actually more than the pattern recommends. It says 7 3/4 inches, so my bust is about a 32. So I'm knitting the largest of the child version, which is a 39 1/4 inch bust. And if my gauge stays true, which I think it certainly seems to be across here, that will give me 7 inches of positive ease, which is recommended. So I kind of had to make a choice. I guess this happens in sewing patterns as well, when you have like the smaller size and then the higher size. And if you're kind of on the cusp, trying to figure out which one to choose can be a bit tricky. So in this one, I bought the child version. There might be another pattern, like for example, the storm sweater, that is actually quite different. The junior version has a rectangle at the top instead of a trapezoid. So in that case, I bought the adult version, and you know, I can always size down a little bit. Although in that one, that I did have the full massive, maybe 12 inches of positive ease, which is nice. Yeah, it's nice to have a range of sweaters. The one that I had on earlier was negative ease. This one's going to have about 7 inches of positive ease. So I think what I might do is when I finish this, and I've just got a little bit less attached, I will do the neckline and get that right before I sort of work out where I'm going to finish for the you know, breaking off the sleeves and everything. I like to get the neckline right, and it has a folded neckline. So yeah, I think that's like, I'm really happy with how it's coming. This is kind of my addictive one. This was very much driven by wanting this in my wardrobe. It's cooler now here in Sydney, and you know, top temperatures are around 18 degrees Celsius, which for me, I generally want a jumper for those. You know, I've spent, I grew up in Queensland, which is a much, you know, warmer area than Sydney. And we also spent 10 years raising little kids there. So I do, you know, I feel the cold. So I really would like this in my wardrobe. So anyway, this is my one new work in progress, and I'll show you my others now. So I have 4 more garment works in progress to show you. So it's probably no wonder I haven't actually finished anything this week. But they have all had quite a bit of progress. So I've sort of moved around everything just a little bit. So this one here is the CPO5 V-neck by Minimi Knit Designs. And I'm knitting it out of Cardiff Cashmere Prime in the colorway Mose, which is color 119, M-O-S-E. I don't know if that's Mose or Mose. And this is a 68% cashmere, 32% silk blend. 25 grams is 300 meters. So it's got excellent yardage. I'm holding this double. It's meant to have a gauge of, of 16 stitches over 4 inches. And my gauge was much smaller at 19. So I started off with the smaller size, but then just increased a little bit more because I knew this. You can see how like wide this neckline is. I thought I'm just going to start with the smallest size and then increase a little bit more on the raglan increases. So that's a very easy adjustment to make. So I will. I've just finished 2. So I'm holding it double, and I finished the first pair of 2 balls. So this is 2 balls of knitting, which is actually pretty amazing, right? So I've knit with 2 balls here, and I don't know how many inches that is. Not like I'm a fair way down. It might be about 6 or 7 inches. So it's not going to be too much longer, and I'll be able to do the ribbing. But I think what I'll do is I'll do the like I normally do. I'll do the neck. It's got quite a nice twisted rib V-neck. Look how it's falling off me, right? So I'm definitely going to need that to sort of see how it sits. And will I do a sleeve? I don't know, maybe I'll do a sleeve, I'm not sure. So this is turning out 34 inches, which is 2 inches of positive ease, which is great for me. It doesn't feel too sloppy, it just feels really nice. And you know, like that seems like more than 2 inches of positive ease, but I put the tape measure across it, it's 34 inches, I should say. And, or 17 inches directly across. So, I haven't blocked it yet, so we'll see if it grows in blocking, but I'll do I'm going to do the neckline next, I think. And may as well do that now while I don't have yarn. You know when you're holding 2 balls of yarn, I'm sorry, that was the dog fluffing, not me. When you hold 2 balls of yarn, one kind of runs, one's still got a little bit left of it and the other one's run out. So, I mean, I could just cut that, but there's just something weird for me about cutting yarn unless I absolutely have to. So it'll probably just get all mangulated and I'll have to cut it anyway because I'm going to leave it now, do the neckline. This is just lovely and beautiful and soft. This yarn was gifted to me by Cardiff Cashmere as part of a collaboration with Yarnacopia, and Cardiff Cashmere is the month of May spot yarn that's spotlighted. It's the featured yarn company for Yarnacopia for May, and the orders close actually tomorrow. That's the 1st of June, 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So Yarnacopia is a company that's run by Erica, and she sort of has a different yarn company each month as a way to sort of promote different yarn brands coming to Australia, so it's done by pre-order. So this has got great yardage. So I've only used 2 balls, and we'll see how I go. You could either use this yarn held double, or you could use it as a carry along instead of silk mohair. If you were if you were a bit sensitive to mohair or you had an allergy, this would be a really good substitute. And the yardage is excellent, so you need a lot less of this. So yeah, I'm very excited to have this one done as well. But I'm definitely I've just sort of gotten my attention drawn by the Lyon sweater, because this is a bit more, it's a bit more special and a bit more fancy, whereas the Lyon sweater, I could see that as a bit of a daily wear, sort of an everyday knit, whereas this is obviously very, luxurious and lovely and soft, and it's obviously going to be very nice and lightweight. So that's CPO5 V-neck. My next work in progress is the Jules Genser, and I'm knitting this out of Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the colorway Elderflower, which is a really lovely soft yellow, and I'm knitting this as part of the Butter Yellow Knit Along that is being hosted by Liz and Paige and Jessica and Rachel from Those Twins Who Knit. And I've done actually a fair bit of progress, because I'm knitting on this on my walks. So this is the 3rd ball. So this is 2 balls of soft silk mohair. So this essentially weighs 50 grams so far. So for me, knitting that on a walk, it's kind of large, but it's very, very light and easy to manage on my wrists. So and at the moment I finished the charts. I'll just show you. It's got beautiful, this is chart A up here. So it's got twisted rib neckline and short rows in the ribbing, which looks really, so that you come straight down into the lace, which I think looks really lovely. And then this is chart A, chart B, where I had to rip back a lot of it, but I'm really glad I did, because it comes out quite nicely now. And then this is chart C here. So I'm just knitting stockinette in the round on 3mm needles. So this is going to take a long time. So I'm quite happy, because it is very easy for me to knit when I'm knitting on this. I'm happy to keep it as my walking knitting and just pick it up now and then. I would love to get it finished, but yeah, again, it's a very sort of delicate, ethereal, similar to the Cumulus, sorry, not the Cumulus, what was going to be the Cumulus, the CPO5 V-neck. It's lovely and it's beautiful, but it doesn't feel like an everyday sort of knit. I think this kind of thing, and also the CPO5 would be great as travel sweaters to take with you, because they obviously weigh almost nothing. They squish down into nothing. They keep you beautifully warm, because silk mohair and a cashmere silk blend, they are both going to be lovely and warm, but very light on your body and easy for packing. So anyway, this is great. I'm really, really happy with this. It's going to be quite oversized. You can see, I made the yoke pretty long. I mean, I actually took 2 centimeters off the yoke depth. I think was supposed to knit 27 centimeters from the whatever here down before I broke off, and I think I went to 25, and I thought that's enough. And I had blocked it and everything. So anyway, I think, but it's I want it to be oversized. I want it to be very light and airy, and just throw it on and not figure hugging at all. So it's coming along, but this one will be sort of more a longer term project if I only work on it when when other things either on my walking, or because it's just complete stockinette in the round now. I'll knit on this when I need sort of no focus, or the other things have got to a point where I actually need to pay attention, but I can't do it and something else at the same time. Anyway, but super, super happy, delighted with this project. By not working on it doesn't mean I'm not happy or excited about it. I definitely am, but it will get done when it gets done. Right, 2 more garments. This one is the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit, and I'm knitting it out of Madeline Tosh Alpaca Sport in this really bright colorway Sea Glass. And I've finished alternating skeins on the body, and this is my 3rd skein, and I have a little bit left for alternating on the sleeves. So I'm just working down stockinette back and forth, so knit a row, purl a row. This is too heavy to take on a walk, but it is certainly very easy at home knitting. So this would be what I would work on if the Lyon sweater gets to a point where I kind of need to pay attention, maybe I'm getting to the point where I sort of need to stop and pick up stitches for the neckband, but I want to watch a show, or I want to do something where I play a game or something and have a bit of knitting as I'm doing it. then I'd pick this one up. So that's probably why I have so many works in progress on the needles. So yep, very happy with how it's coming though. And this is another one that I really want the finished object for. But I guess just the Lyon sweater sort of just jumped in. But yes, I'm excited about this one. And yeah, hopefully we'll be making yarn everywhere, making some progress on this shortly, because it is a really lovely, it's going to be a great cardigan. Just thinking about picking buttons for this. Actually, when I was watching Stitches and Stem, Michaela, she mentioned this button shop. I'll put down below the name of the button shop. I haven't bought anything from there, but she found these beautiful buttons for one of her cardigans, I think the April cardigan, and they were just gorgeous. So I'm definitely going to have a look. I don't mind ordering buttons online and waiting, you know, a bit of time for them, because obviously this would still be wearable, although the button band, you know, I do like to have the buttons with me when I make the button band. But look, you know, this could be a while before I actually get it finished. But anyway, that's kind of my thinking at the moment. I definitely want to pick some lovely buttons for this. My last garment work in progress is the Adamson vest by Rui Yamamuro, and I am knitting it out of Wool Folk 2. I've had 3 skeins of this. This is the recommended yarn. This one technically should be, it's super fluffy, sorry, I've got it everywhere. This one technically should be finished. I picked up the stitches for the neckband, followed the recommended pickup rate. I do feel like it's a little big, but you know, I just was like, okay, fine, I'm going with it. It's not too bad though. Then I picked up the stitches for the armhole and followed the rate, and it just seemed quite big. So I did do some decreases, but I clearly did not do enough decreases because it's really flary. So this is why it got stopped. I've got to also pick up the stitches here. So I still have the ball attached. I've bound off. So it's just 4 rows of twisted rib. It's not a lot. What I think I will do is I don't have to rip it all back and like redo the pickup. I'm happy to have the pickup of the stitches that I picked up, but then do more decreases. So I think that's totally fine, but I do need to rip back 4 rows. It's not that much knitting, right? But I just was, you know, when you kind of, I actually think this project is going to be quite nice in my wardrobe, but I can't say I haven't enjoyed working with the yarn. I just haven't really enjoyed even this sort of stitch patterning. I kind of got off a few times and had to go back. So I'll show you, it's finished quite cropped, and I definitely will wear it over a dress, and I think it will look nice over a dress. It cinches in, which, you know, I've been talking about not wearing fitted stuff, but this is the style of this, and you'd wear it over a dress and it brings it in at the waist and it's cropped. So I'm totally fine with that. I would not wear it over jeans like this. I don't think I'd wear it over a dress or very high-waisted like pants, because that's where my navel is. So I don't know that it would work over pants. I think I'd have to wear it over a dress or something. So that's obviously not picked up. That's picked up, but look how wide, and like that's just crazy. So I mean, I followed the pickup rate and I even decreased some, but clearly not enough. I probably need to decrease at least another 20%. So I think I've got 120 stitches here. I'm definitely going to go down to see, look at that. It's all flary and everything. Anyway, sorry, you're seeing my armpit. Yep. So like, I think it's actually going to be quite a good. Like, I'm looking at it on here now, and I think that actually looks like quite a nice design. Like, it quite, you know, it's got this sort of nice angling. It's, you know, it's got sort of some nice shaping to it. So yes, I will. I'm almost positive this will just get done. I just kind of, I did that, and then I had like, this is what was my plan. It was like Friday, do the neckband. Saturday, do this arm. Sunday, do this arm. This is last week, I think. Saturday, I did this arm, and just was like disgusted with it and just shoved it for a week. So, you know, I feel like maybe this weekend I can bring myself to undo those 4 rows. Yeah, maybe I might do that if I can make myself. It's Saturday today. Undo this for today and redo it, and then Sunday do this one, and then I'll be done, block it, whatever, call it finished. So this one, I'm fingers crossed, almost positive, because it, you know, once you've worked out that doesn't work, that's at least information to be like, okay, that's too many stitches. Let me get down to about, I reckon about 100, drop off maybe 20% of those stitches to, I don't want it like completely shrunk in, but I don't want it flary like that. Anyway, that's enough. So that's it for my works in progress, aside from I've got a hat and a sock on the needles, but they haven't seen any attention because I've been, you know, as I usually am, more devoted to my garment knitting. So yep, that's it for my works in progress. Moving on to acquisitions and plans, I've been gifted some beautiful patterns by some lovely viewers since I last recorded, so I thought I'd just run through those with you, and there's certainly ones that I'm looking at and thinking, oh, what, you know, yarn could I match to make them? So the first one that I'll mention is the Art Nouveau sweater by Elenor Mortenson, and it's this amazing, gorgeous colorwork yoke design sweater, sort of, you know, looks like filigree lace. It's just so pretty. And that one has a 26 stitch gauge. So I'd probably think I'd want to do some kind of fading colorwork, or like not just two solid colors. When I've looked at the projects on Ravelry, the ones that really draw my attention are ones that have sort of some variation in the colorwork. So a plain body, but some kind of variation in the colorwork. So that was gifted to me by Kay from Poland. So thank you so much, Kay. It's absolutely beautiful. Another pattern that was gifted to me is Asterie by Natasja Hornby, and that was gifted by Lucy. So thank you so much, Lucy. That is a stunning design with this gorgeous detail at the yoke. It's all one color, but it's just got all of these like amazing design work through just textured pattern. And it's a garter stitch body, which is quite interesting. And that's got a 20 stitch gauge. So I've got to have a think about yarn for that one, because that is absolutely beautiful. The next pattern is the Coomo cardigan, and that was gifted to me by Josephine, and that pattern's by Ankestrick, and I really like her designs. I did the armor sweater for her as a test knit, and that was that was a great test knit, and she's a really excellent designer. So this is like a brioche tuck stitch all over, and it just looks fantastic. It looks like a really lovely classic style cardigan. So yeah, I'd have to have a bit of a look for that one as well for yarn. That one's got 19 stitch gauge in fisherman's rib, so it looks like it's knit on a DK weight yarn. So but I would want to do a fairly plain like color for that one, like a solid color. So I'd have to have a look and see what I have in stash for that. The next pattern is the Umbria top, and that was gifted to me by Susan, and that is by Cookie the Knitter, and that is a really gorgeous sort of like a collared top with buttons. I've never actually knit a button-up shirt, so yeah, I'm really curious to try that. So that was designed out of like something like Knitting for Olive pure silk, or you could use Sandnes Garn tin silk, no, not tin silk mohair, Sandnes Garn tin Lene, I think would be a good choice for that one as well. So that would be a really lovely summer top. So I may not knit that one anytime soon, but as the weather gets warmer, I'll be looking for stash for that one for sure. And I think you could also use Knitting for Olive cotton merino. So yeah, I'm excited to make that one, and I'd have to like also obviously pick buttons for that as well. So that's one I might have stash for. I have a fair bit of tin Lene, but I'm just not sure if I'd have enough, because it's sort of, you know, the tin Lene that I've bought was more like for like a tank, whereas this is definitely a collared shirt, so it has sleeves and everything, so I might need a little bit of extra yarn. I think for my size I need 732 meters, so I might actually have to buy yarn for that one. What a shame. That would be anyway, so thank you very much, Susan. That's a lovely top. Another pattern that was gifted to me is the Plain Yoke Tee by Lene, Holme, Samsøe. I think it's Plain Yoke T22, and that was gifted to me by Lynn, so thank you so much, Lynn. This one I actually already know I have yarn in stash for, and this is the Noro Competo that I was going to make a vest for, but I think it's going to look really nice. I think it was a podcaster who made this out of Noro yarn. I'm just blanking on her name. I'll put it down below, but it just looked gorgeous. And she hand dyes yarn. It'll come to me. But anyway, that's the yarn. That's got this big splodge of yellow, but that's all right. I've been tossing up whether I actually knit this like sweater by itself or I hold a mohair with it. But I actually think I might just knit it by itself and have a really colorful sweater. So yep, so that's that is another, like, I guess, an acquisition and plan. So thank you very much, Lynn. Two more patterns to share. One of them is the Friday Slipover, and that was gifted to me by Elliard. So thank you so much, Elliard. This is gorgeous. It's a really lovely textured vest. It's got, I'm pretty sure, a fold over collar, and it is a standard sort of fingering weight and mohair held together. And yeah, like I just think that's just such a lovely layering piece. So, and I really like the textured stitch aspect of it. So, and I don't think it will be hard for me to find, especially with a vest, it wouldn't be hard for me to find some stash with enough sort of fingering weight and mohair held together. So thank you so much, Elliard. And the last one is the Aros sweater, and that was gifted to me by Karen, and that is a sweater by Petite knit with these great stripes on it. And I think she's also got like a dress version in that, and it was actually the dress version of that caught my eye. And I think how wonderful, like I mean I love my knit dresses, but having it like a big long striped dress, I think Kika did something like that as well in a striped dress, and it just looked fabulous and so comfortable and cozy. So yeah, thank you so much, Karen. That would be so good for leftovers too, but I'd have to figure out like my numbers because I'd hate to run out, and it is still the kind of thing that I'd like to plan. So that one's got a 21 stitch gauge, which I think is pretty achievable with either a DK weight yarn or a fingering weight and a mohair. So yeah, I feel so fortunate to have been gifted such lovely patterns by viewers. And yeah, I don't want anyone to think that I expect that, but I definitely appreciate it. And it gives me inspiration, and it helps me sort of think, what yarn do I have in stash that I could use for that? Or what might I like to buy that might work for it. So yes, thank you everyone for your generosity, and thank you so much for being here as part. If you've been watching my Vlogmas series, yeah, I just really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. People commenting and interacting, and that's yeah, it's just made me feel really special. So thank you so much. I have one last acquisition to share, and this is my purchase from Yarnacopia in the Sandnes Garn month. So that just arrived. So thank you so much, Erica. I was so excited to receive it. There were some, forgot to bring them up. There were some lovely stitch markers included, which, is always wonderful. And I can never have too many of them. I'm always losing them. But the yarn that I purchased, I thought I'd show you. I purchased Sunday and Alpaca to have these two together. This is in the colorway Scarlet Red. And I think I want a cardigan out of this. Like I bought it initially for the River sweater, which, actually I'll just put a picture of it up there because the booklet that I got, the River sweater is in this booklet, Sandnes Garn 2302. But I'm sort of looking at that sweater, and I think, I don't know, I feel like this bold red probably for me needs to be in a cardigan rather than a sweater, just to break it up a little bit so that I've got sort of like a white t-shirt underneath rather than sort of all red all over. So I do still want to make the River sweater, but I might actually purchase another time yarn for it. I should may as well show you, that's the River sweater. It's a lovely all over cabled sweater, but I think, on reflection, all of that in red might just be a bit too much. So I'm going to make a cardigan for this one. I actually can sort of see this as a really oversized cardigan in like a brioche stitch. Maybe that Coomo cardigan. And I'm thinking, because I held something, did I hold these two together? I think it was these two together for my Amy slipover, and only one strand of this and one of this. I bought enough of the alpaca to hold it double stranded with this, so that it's a bit closer to like the tin silk mohair and the Sunday, because this is definitely finer. There's 400 meters in one of these, whereas in the tin silk mohair there's I think 230 or something. So to sort of be equivalent, I probably need one of these and two of these. So I bought extra of this. So yeah, super excited. I think that, yeah, maybe that Coomo cardigan, that might work quite nicely for that. Anyway, so many options. It's like my brain's kind of exploding with all of the possibilities, but I've got a lot on the needles already, so I need to, work my way through that and then, start. But I do like to kind of line up the next things even as these are on the needles. And the Lyon sweater has been in my queue for a long time, and I've had yarn in stash for it for at least a few months. So anyway, so that was my Sandnes Garn for the month. I haven't ordered. I'm very bad with that. I leave things to the last minute. I haven't ordered anything in the Cardiff block, but I am thinking about, there's like a tweedy kind of one in the Cardiff Cashmere Classic that is calling my name. But I do really love that, the Prime as well. But lots of options. Anyway, I'll report back next episode what I ended up getting, or I might put it off till the next one in November, but I probably won't. I'll probably get a box at least. So yes, anyway, I think that's it for the regular part of the podcast. I have been doing a lot of these every day, and little ones in May. So I have a big presentation, so I'm moving on to personal stuff now. I had a great time last night at my son's concert. I should say, if you're leaving me now, thank you so much for being here, and I plan to be back not next Thursday, but the Thursday after, which I think is the 12th. So that will be my next regular episode. So personal stuff, went out last night to my son's, probably his last big music gala concert, and because he is my youngest child, the last sort of big school concert for my kids. I'm sure one day I'll have grandkids, but for my own children. And it was wonderful. He actually was in the finale, him and the one of the music captains, they two co-captains, he and the other guy, they were singing, I won't give any other names because that's like other, school kids and whatever, and I probably can't put in any footage or anything because there's a whole bunch of other school kids, so it's not appropriate. But he was in the finale singing to like 1,000 people. Like, it was just crazy. The hall was packed, and I just am so impressed at his his courage, and I mean, he has a great voice too, so it's really nice. It was just lovely to be able to watch and listen to him. So that was last night. I've got quite a bit of, I've almost finished my marking, and then I've got kids sitting another exam on Wednesday, so there'll be more marking coming in, and I have a big presentation on the 10th of June. So after that, things will be a little bit clearer for me, and I can sort of take a breath once all my marking's done and that presentation's done. And then, it's just getting all my kids ready for the HSC. So I don't mean my children, although I do have one son doing the HSC, but I mean all my students. Right, so that's it, I think. Thanks everyone for being here either today or for my, if you watched any of my May series. It's been quite fun showing you some of my sewing as well, and it has also been inspiring me to get back into my sewing. I don't think I'll have any sewing certainly between now and sort of mid-June, but maybe after that I'll start getting back into that again when I've got a little bit more time, because sewing definitely, and I think that's one thing that I've noticed is people talk about sewing definitely requires more headspace. I need to concentrate. I can't do other things at the same time. Whereas knitting, I'm walking, knitting, chatting with a friend, like I'm, playing Mario Party. Like I can knit almost without thinking too much. And although sometimes that does bite me in the bum when I'm a time when I should be paying attention and I don't. So you do have to be a little bit careful. But most of the time, knitting is just the thing that's happening in the background with all the other stuff going on in my life. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for being here either today or just generally in May. And I'll be back on the 12th with another regular episode. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you then.